Hey, what's up, VOX&HOPS heads? I'm Matt, the vocalist of Crisptopsy and the host of the VOX&HOPS Metal Podcast, brought to you by Sound Talent Media and Evergreen Podcasts, where I sit down with fellow metal musicians to talk about their lives, music, and craft beer. I hope you've been having a killer week so far. I most certainly have been. Now, before we jump into today's episode, I'd just like to ask you to follow the VOX&HOPS Metal Podcast on the podcast platform of your choice. But more than that, I would love for you to take a few minutes to write a review for the podcast. Now, why would I want you to do that? Well, you have to imagine that when someone is looking for a new podcast to listen to, what do? They scroll down, they look at those reviews, and if those reviews say that the podcast is amazing, and that I ask great questions, and that all my guests are super cool, well, they're most probably going to give that podcast a chance. So by you taking a few minutes to write a review for the podcast, you may actually be the person that helps sway someone's decision to become a brand new VOX&HOPS head, and that would be something that I would truly appreciate. Now, today's episode is a special one. It's called The New Blood Roundtable, and it features Stephen of Becoming the Bully, Barrett of Bloodprint, Megan of Casket Robbery, Matt of Diabology, and Espen of Féleth. This is a monstrous episode. I am so stoked that I finally pulled it together. Get ready when this is VOX&HOPS episode number 354.
I warn you, what you are about to hear is very disturbing indeed.
Hey, what's up, everyone? I am very stoked to do a very special episode, an episode that I've been wanting to do for probably like 100 episodes now, but here I am doing it finally now after 350 episodes. This is an episode I'm going to call the New Blood Roundtable Discussion. I have been joined by musicians from bands that are a little bit younger than Crisptopsy, so I was interested in having a roundtable discussion with musicians that are just basically starting out, that have been doing it for a little while, that... it's been a long time that I've been in Crisptopsy, so I wanted to get the feel of what it's like being in a band that's still trying to, quote-unquote, make it. Today I'm joined by Stephen of Becoming the Bully of Montreal. We got Barrett of Bloodprint from Halifax, Nova Scotia. We got Megan from Casket Robbery from Wisconsin in the U.S. We got Matt from Diabology from L.A. We got Espen from Féleth. He's from Norway. This is an international discussion. I think it's so damn cool. How are you all doing?
So good.
Pretty good.
Very good.
Yeah.
Thank you all for joining me. Let's jump into the thick of it. The most important question of the day. This is a VOX&HOPS episode, and VOX&HOPS is all about hanging out with my metal friends, talking about their lives, music, and craft beer. What are you guys drinking on your side today that we're going to be sharing virtually? We'll start with you, Espen. Go for it.
So I got my, it's from a Norwegian brewery called Amundsen. It's a very interesting New England IPA. I don't remember its name. A Plague Wing. Yes. Very good.
Very cool. The can looks awesome and metal. I love it. I'm a fan already, and a hazy. I'm down with the hazies. Stephen, what do you drink on your side? I think I know what you're drinking, but it's from a little brewery that we both love, I think.
Yeah. Some Overhop, Keep On Loving Session IPA. Pretty good. It's
love Overhop.
Oh, I love them. I love their products. Pretty nice people too. Nice brewery, close to my place. So
I love it, and massive shout outs to the Overhop Canada crew. I literally just sent a text message to Patty.
Nice.
Like literally. Barrett, what are you going to be drinking on your side?
Well, I'm 15, so unfortunately, no beer for me, but I've just got water.
Perfect. You got to stay hydrated, and I appreciate that. And there is never any pressure to drink, and you don't ever have to start drinking. It's a big passion of mine and a lot of other people, but it's not for everyone, and you don't ever have to feel like you should have to do anything. And that's an important message that I want to get across there to all the young musicians that might be listening to this today. Megan, what are you going to be enjoying on your side today?
Well, I have hard kombucha. It's a lemon ginger foraged from like a local brewery around here. So, yeah.
Very cool. I like hard kombucha, and I think that there should be more of it because I really enjoy it very, very much. Matt from Diabology, what are you going to be drinking today?
I just got water, smart water.
Stay hydrated, people. I love it. On my side, I'm drinking something special, something that just came back, something that... I love, and I'm very stoked to have it. A new one. Shout out to Drew from Kahnawake Brewing for hooking me up with a brand new batch of Crisptopsies and Kahnawake's Crisptopsy, the Pilsner Supremacy, which is a play on words, of course, for Whisper Supremacy. This is a New World Pilsner. It's because it's been dry hopped with a whole bunch of Mosaic hops. I love this beer. I'm very happy it's back. And shout out to Filip Ivanovic for the massive reworking of the classic Whisper Supremacy artwork. Let's jump into this. This is important for me. We're going to start with a question that I would never normally ask an artist. Why do you play in an extreme metal band? That's the first question. So let's jump in with the youngest of us. Barrett, why do you play extreme metal?
Well, I'm not too sure if I would call ourselves extreme metal, but in terms of metal, we just love playing and we love what we do. We've just started really only a few years ago when we were like middle school, but now we're in high school and we've just like started building our craft, playing our shows, and getting more out there to the people.
I love it. Espen, why do you play metal? Why did you end up sacrificing so much, as we all do, for this passion?
That's a good question. I'm honestly not entirely sure, but when I was young, I always loved music, but I never wanted to become a musician. But I started out hearing Chester Bennington from Linkin Park doing screams, and I was like, yeah, cool. On to Slipknot, you know. And at the time we had a local band who played like thrash metal. They were really good. We were like 15, 16 at the time. So I kind of forced myself to do a cover. We did a Lamb of God cover. And after the one time we jammed, I was kind of solidified into the band. And from there, it's just gone very far away from thrash metal, at least.
We have to start somewhere, and you never know where you're going to end up once you do get on this road. I was definitely not supposed to become an extreme death metal vocalist. I was a Mike Patton influenced vocalist. I was a Maynard from Tool, Incubus.
Wow.
Really into that early on, and look where I ended up. Right, so you got to get on the road, though. If you don't get on the road, you'll never get to the destination. Megan,
nothing beats that feeling, that energy of everyone when you are just screaming in front of people. I get to go on stage night after night and be this terrifying little creature and just like let it all of that like shadow self out. And there's nothing like it, just nothing.
And it's still, and I've done hundreds, probably thousands of shows, and the feeling doesn't go away. And that's the best part of it. It's something that can't be bought. And it's something that can rarely be replaced by something else, which is why these past few years has been difficult for musicians, I think. But I'm lucky I have the podcast to fill that void. Matt, Diabology, why are you in a metal band?
I've always wanted to be in a band, and let alone like everyone in the band, we just like fucking love it. Like, it's the best thing, like going on stage, feeling that whole adrenaline rush, playing what you love to play. So like that kind of just sticks with us.
And you, Steven, why are you in a metal band?
Well, I've actually not always been in a metal band, but I just enjoy music in general. So, playing, let's say, punk rock or whatever, when I was a kid was pretty much it. But nothing beats the feeling of playing, metal and breakdowns and the energy. It's kind of it's a cliche to say that, but that's totally what it is. And being there live and in a show, a gathering of people, sharing that moment with everyone, it does it for me.
Absolutely. I think one of the most important things that I did, and I didn't actually do it, I was forced to do it. I was encouraged to do it by Mike Marino, who is one of the main reasons that I ended up being in anything. So shout out to Mike Marino. I've had on the podcast before to thank him. Is that he forced me to buy a PA system. And that's when I was like, I had to take this serious. I had like a monthly payment plan at Steve's Music. Shout out to Steve's here in Montreal. And I would go once a month because it was back then you had to go and actually pay the people. You couldn't just do it over the internet to pay your bill. I think it was $42 a month or something silly like that. That was like the moment, like the piece of gear that made me take being a musician seriously. What would be that piece of gear for you guys? Let's start with Barrett again.
Probably when I got my first like real metal bass. It was Ibanez 4-string black, and I love it. And I remember like playing it live for the first time. It just like changed everything, how we sounded. And I just love how like it felt. I was like moved forward for everything. Like I was forward in the sound more, and I was like, it definitely felt great for being a bass player.
How about you, Matt? What would be that piece of gear for you that made you finally take yourself seriously as a musician?
My second drum set I ended up buying with some couple of cash I was saving up during quarantine. Luckily, I was able to get my hands on a DW's Collector's series.
Very sick, very sick. How about Espen? What would be that piece of gear for you?
It was the first time I bought tea for my warm-ups for a gig.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, what is that tea? What is it?
It's
I'm interested now.
ginger tea, and it tastes like shit. So I used to also have a Jack Daniels, to just get the syrupy feel. So I don't know. Since I'm mostly a vocalist, okay, I play different instruments today, but when I started getting serious, I was like taking my warm-ups properly, like do the throat singing stuff, and I don't know, scales. I don't sing that much, but but the tea, definitely.
Very interesting. I'm actually working on a tea with some people. If you've listened to the podcast, you might figure it out. For Extreme Vocalist, in collaboration with someone else that's also been on the podcast. There's a little teaser right there. Stephen, what would be that piece of gear that solidified you as a musician?
Actually, to start out, like I used to really enjoy bass guitars, and I always listened to guitars a lot and stuff in music, although that I just drum. And at one point, I just tried out this like old CB drum set at a used music store, and I was like, wow, this is fun. It's loud, it's it's physical and all that stuff. So then I just went on to with like nothing, like no drumming backgrounds, no anything. Just I bought a pair of drumsticks, Vic Firth, nylon metal tipped sticks. Metal as in like the gauge there, not the material, because that'd be yeah. And I just started hitting pretty much everything I could find and rudiments and shit on myself, and it ended up just sticking with me, and I was like, man, I needed one of those drum sets. So that was it.
Megan, what would be that piece of gear for you?
I think probably my first microphone that was just my own, and I'm not using house mics that are absolutely disgusting.
Yeah.
Oh man.
And then you make the mistake of looking at it and you're like, oh yeah, no, never again. So yeah, my first microphone probably. Yeah.
The smell of it.
Yeah.
No.
Even my tour mic ends up smelling like shit. So when it's someone else's spit, and some people are really spitty.
Yeah.
Yes, they are.
Who a perfect example of someone that's really, and I'm sorry, just to give him a shout out like this, but Enrico from Hideous Divinity, when he finishes a set, he has to open it up and squeeze it.
Oh man.
Oh my god.
And I'm sorry, dude. If you're listening, I'm sorry. Something that I do and something that I have done, and I have vivid memories of having done it when I was starting out in the music industry. My first real band was with Mike Marino. Once again, he'll probably come up a lot during this because it's that time frame of not believing that we're going to make it, or we made it, and I remember specific times like Randy from Lamb of God came to our jam back in the 2000s, and he was like, Randy's here, and you just jammed with him. He just screamed with you. He's like, do you believe it now that it's, we signed a record deal? Do you believe it now? So I'm wondering what goals you guys have set for yourselves, or if it's something that you do. I still do it to this day with the podcast with Crisptopsy, so I'm wondering if you guys do that. Let's start with Barrett again. Do you have any goals that you have set for yourself, and then once you reach that point, you'll feel like you've made it, let's say?
In terms of goals for me for the band, we've been wanting to record some more and put out some more releases. My personal goal in musician's life is definitely going on my first tour. So that's like something I'm definitely wanting to do some point soon, because that would be just so much fun. That's like the kind of life I want to live, for sure.
Amazing. And honestly, first tours are always the most memorable. The ones that the most things go wrong.
Yeah.
So save up a little extra money when you go out
Definitely.
because it's not going to be easy, but it's fun. It's definitely the most memorable stuff. Espen, what would be a goal that you have for yourself, and once you reach that goal, you'll have made it?
Yeah, that's a tricky question. So I'll kind of, what's the correct English word? Kind of rephrase your question. For me, it's like we did our first album 2 years ago, and that was like always, I just want to have an album. Then we had the album, and it's like, okay, I need something new. Then it's like go on a tour. Oh wait, it's COVID not happening. So it's like, okay, new album. And we also actually recently got signed with a smaller label that's not exactly local, but it's a metal label here in northern Norway. And it's like, I still don't feel like we made it because we haven't been able to tour. But then again, our like geographical position is really shit because Norway is a very big country and we're super far north and it's only indie pop up here. So we get some gigs, but it's like if we were to play in like Oslo, all the the big cities in Norway, it's the airplane tickets are so big that no one want to book us basically. So it's
wow, yeah. Norway is bigger than I'm remembering.
It's just long and skinny. It looks like
I understand
the penis, No, I really wanna, or I don't wanna, but I really hope we can manage to get a tour maybe soon. Yeah.
And here's like an annoying question. Do you think that for Espen, sorry, you for the band to make it, would you have to relocate?
Honestly, everyone we've been in touch with, we talked with some people from bigger labels here in Norway, and they're all like, "Yep, move to Berlin." Well, it's kind of a hard thing because
it's a big jump.
Yeah, everyone's kind of a different place in life in the band. Like one guy just got a kid, and he has an apartment, etc. But I don't think anyone in the band is like hoping to become like new Metallica or Lamb of God. But we're committed to do this band thing and just take it from there, see what happens, basically. Yeah,
it's a huge sacrifice moving. Just massive.
Yeah.
So it has to be the right decision. If not, band members hate each other, and that does happen. Steven, what would be a big goal that once you do that, you'll feel like you've made it?
I'm gonna go by saying I think like a Canadian USA tour or just a big tour in general. Would be something I'd consider. I mean, we were supposed to go on more than one tour actually that was booked. Like we were supposed to leave for the US next month and stuff all the way to Texas. We're supposed to do like a whole cross country thing. And it's the second time now that COVID has its word, So at the beginning it was mostly like, okay, let's have an album, and then try to book like a lot of shows and eventually get signed, which we were lucky enough to have happen to us during COVID, which is quite something because we haven't been doing anything really. We had a playthrough come out, we haven't really been active on the social media. Obviously, we all have our lives, stuff happening, and in every direction doesn't make it always easy. So right now, I'm back to that goal of touring to get that one tour out at least. See how it is. I know it's not going to be pretty and pink, but whatever. Like I'm all about it. I don't mind camping. I don't mind sleeping in the fucking car. I don't mind. I do mind not showering too much, but I'll figure something out. Baby wipes, man. Baby wipes and like, maybe like pool runs there, like during the night, like if we find a pool somewhere, at least to just like in a quick in and out kind of thing, just rinse off that crust.
I remember playing a schoolhouse in Nova Scotia and washing my hair in the back where it was just like from the hose, and that was a good find. We were really happy to have access to that fresh water. Matt, what would be a goal for Diabology that once you attain that you'll feel like you've made it?
Our first goal was to like record our second album, which we just finished like not so long ago. But now, like me personally, I really want to tour, like super bad, like just to get the experience. And I know like once we tour, like, you know, we're probably going to look at ourselves differently. Like, okay, we could do this. We're committed. Like something good could come for us.
So important to get out there to play shows. You can jam 8 days a week, and that's good, of course, but playing a show is like worth 7 jams or something. It's you learn so much while playing a show. There's so much more things going on. It sounds bad most of the time, and you have to get through that. And, you know, there's a crowd to interact with. It's completely different. It's so important to get out there. So, Megan, what would be a goal for Casket Robbery? Now, you're a band that has done a lot of stuff, so I'm curious as to what one of those goals would have been. And I'm sure you've hit a few of them already.
I think that's a really, really awesome question because it's so open to interpretation within like the various levels of bands and kind of where the industry is right now and how everyone's kind of adapting as things change constantly. Initially, my goal was to tour, and we did that a lot. And we had kind of been on this upswing of more and more tours right before COVID, and then that hit. And so I think my big goal now is to tour more consistently, and I think tour outside of the U.S. is a really big goal for me and for all of us, I think.
That is a great thing about being from the States, and it really ties into what Espen was saying, is that you guys can tour quite easily if you get a van and you can play. There's cities very close all around, and there's DIY venues and communities. And shout out to Keith Wampler, who's coming to my mind with the Convalescence, and he's a prime example of a band that did that just sacrificed everything and put it into not a van but a bus for themselves, a school bus, many school buses that all broke down and keep breaking down, and here he is now, and he's doing it right now, and by the time the episode comes out it will just be finished. He's co-headlining a US tour. It's amazing.
He worked so hard.
I've known him since 2016 when the Convalescence was opening for Crisptopsy on a US tour. So it's amazing. It's amazing. That's what people have to do. It's tough, but it's pure sacrifice. Pure sacrifice. One of my big goals was to play Wacken. I played Wacken, and now I want to play Wacken on the main stage. It's, you know, this is how goals work, you know? There comes a certain point, though, where you may just have to accept that it's not going to happen. Now, I'm at a point where, luckily, Crisptopsy was already established, and if we do release material, people are interested. How would it be for you if this was it? If what you're doing right now was the level that you were going to be at? How would you feel about that? Would it be good enough? Is a very tough question, and I'll throw it straight to Megan right away.
I'm sitting here thinking, like, this is actually a question that myself and my band have had numerous discussions on throughout COVID, throughout all of that. You know, we work really hard, and I'm proud of what we do. And if this is it, if this is where we're at, if this is the level, I think that it's disappointing because we do work so hard, but we've accomplished a lot of things too that I'm super proud of. So personally, I get to play shows pretty regularly, and it's coming back now, and tours and the works and stuff. So if that's where we're at right now, that's where we're at.
How about you, Barrett? How about it just stays where you're at? You play bass in Halifax, Nova Scotia, and then you become a banker, and you tell your banker friends when you're 25, 35, 50 years old, yeah, I played in a metal band when I was 15. I was on the VOX&HOPS podcast. How would that feel? I
mean, clearly at my age, we haven't, luckily, I don't think we have reached our peak yet. We're still continuing to grow. Where we are at right now, we have started to question, you know, things like university and stuff, like where we're going to go after we graduate. Cause that's like for me, that's a big question thing. Cause this is what I want to do forever. And I want to do what I can to make that happen. So
come to Montreal.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
McGill. Your parents will like McGill. McGill is a good school.
Yeah. But yeah, for me personally, I just want to, like, as soon as I graduate, I just want to, like, hit the road and play shows like forever. That's kind of what I want to do forever.
Do it.
Yeah, exactly.
I love it. Matt from Diabology, how would you feel, how would your band feel if this was it, if this was the top of where you were going to go with this career?
I'm pretty sure we'll kind of be like, not fully disappointed, but like be like, we could have done better. But like, if we're stuck at this point, no matter what, I'm pretty sure we're still going to continue because this is what we love doing. Like, I don't see myself doing anything else. Like, I don't see myself working like another job or doing something else and playing drums and playing shows like every weekend. So I think we'll just stick to that. Like, even if we're stuck at this level.
It's a passion, and then I think I would do the same. Music is something that's so essential to me that whether I was in Crisptopsy and performing at the level that we perform at, or if I was just going to the karaoke bar to sing, which is something that I do. There used to be a bar behind my house, which is why I'm referencing this way, and I would walk in and they would buy me beer and I'd have to sing all night. They would put on Radiohead by Creep, and that was my track. That was my jam that I would bang out for them, and they'd buy me a big bottle of beer. And it was typically like it was before we had kids, and the bar is gone now, sadly. Well, sadly, yes and no, because I have kids that live here now. But it was fun. Steven, how would it be for you guys if this was where you were at?
Oh man, it is a tough question, but I don't want to answer it for my fellow bandmates. So I'm going to speak for myself on that one. I think I wouldn't let it just be that. Let's say I'll call back to that other question before. I'm still, wanting to do that very first tour and experience it. So I'm not gonna, if it's not with this band, it's gonna be with another band. That's pretty much how I've always done it. Like, I've been playing with bands for like almost 15 years now. So hey man, it's the way I see it. It's just another step, forward. Sometimes you can stumble, but you got to keep on going. So I think as for me, I'm proud and happy of what we're doing and what we've done and what's coming for us. But I don't think I'd let it just be that, man. I need to go a little bit farther before I can say, hey, what am I going to do with this? Am I going to go for it, like for real? Or am I just going to, save that story for, kids and stuff when I get older? Like, yeah, man, I used to fucking drink and tour and not wash myself.
With my kids, what's funny is that any band I put on them, they always go, "Is this your friend, Daddy? Is this your friends?" That's cool. Sometimes it is, or is this you, Daddy? Is another one. I was like, no, our house would be much bigger if I had written the house, But, just joking. Espen, how would you guys feel if this was
we've actually had this conversation, and some of us are like, yeah, if we can't like continue to grow, it's kind of all right. We would still continue playing what we can and write music. But at the same time, if it was like, okay, this is it, we break up, I can finally become that one guy I used to play in a band, stand in the back of the critique every band. Oh, I was much better back in the days, No, but
I love it.
I don't know. It will probably be a bit sad, I guess. But as Steven said, I'll find a new project. I don't know how to say it in English, but the clockwork has to keep going, for me at least, musically.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's just a part of your nature. One of the hardest things to do in order to make it, to get there, in my opinion, is find like-minded musicians that you, A, they can play, B, you can stand being around. So this is a topic that I wanted to broach as we were talking. It came up to me. What would be some advice to anyone that's listening that maybe they're thinking of starting a band, of dealing with bandmates? For myself, I would suggest not responding when you're angry. Let's say it's a text, to giving some space, because being in a band you need these people.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's best not to write when you're angry or respond when you're angry. It's better to give some space. That would be my answer to this question. I'm curious, Barrett, how do you guys deal with inner band disputes, let's say?
A lot of times it's been like through like texting in the group chat. Unfortunately, there have been like a few instances of members leaving through like a dispute in the group chat.
Exactly.
And I remember like one time, like a previous member like just got so mad and we didn't control the situation the right way. And then he just quit 4 days before a big show. But actually like for that guy, he actually saved us the day of another show. So like he's all good now. But basically, yeah, I totally agree with not responding when you're angry and like when things get heated. You have to like cool down the situation and think about it realistically instead of like how you feel about it. So yeah, that's like my advice. Like think about what's best for the greater good, like for the whole band instead of just you and your ego kind of thing.
Absolutely. 15. So smart. Love it. I'm very impressed. Megan, how do you guys deal with when there's disputes in Casket Robbery?
I think you hit the nail on the head. I think communication is the biggest backbone of a band together. Kind of learning each other's communication styles too is really, really important. And then just having conversations that can be quite hard sometimes about everyone's goals and the goal for the band, because I've seen people be complacent and happy where we are in something, but if we want to be touring more and someone else is like, hey, I'm not going to tour for more than 2 weeks and we get offered this month-long tour, having that the communication thing.
How about you, Matt? How do you guys deal with stresses in between band members?
We haven't really had like a big dispute or argument, but like little things. It could be like just like music related. I would say if we've ever gotten like in a big dispute about something, it is just best not to respond. Like kind of step away from that, take a breather, like think.
Metal is hard. There's not a lot of money. There's a lot of sacrificing. And sometimes there's a bit too many egos. Steven, how do you guys deal with the stresses of being in a band together?
Oh, man. I tend to think that us as a band, we kind of deal with it okay-ish between us. But yeah, like everyone's been saying, communication is really important. Being in a band is like, a 4, 5, 6, people couple, let's say. So, yeah, you have to be able to... sometimes put your little comfort zone, and that, you have to step out of your comfort zone, and you have to be able to include everyone kind of while not being too much in someone's face, I guess. I don't know. But it's hard. I'm looking for the words to say it. But in general, like a side note, basically, don't text when there's problems or when there's arguments or when it's so easy to read a sentence wrong or to, read it and go, hey, man.
The intent of the text. It's hard to, there's no context. There's no subtext. There's no facial or voice intonation. It's like you can read it in an asshole voice or in a very chill
there you
voice.
Go. And it's so bad how quickly things can, derail off of a stupid sentence that you've read wrong, or you're like, okay, I know he's in a bad mood. Is he bitching or not? Or is it just me that's reading it like this? Is it, so communication, live feed, man, Zoom, anything, no writing, man. No writing.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Cool. That's interesting. Espen, how do you guys deal with inner band turmoils?
Okay, so I'm, when it comes to this topic, I'm really spoiled, I guess, because we played for 6 to 7 years, and the thing is everyone in the band is just the greatest of friends. Like for me, they're all my best friends, even though some have moved and we don't have that much contact. But the thing is, we have actually never had a fight ever. Or we've had, sometimes when you've been drinking and too many shots and you start fighting over sensitive stuff. You hate each other, and next day it's like, haha, doesn't matter. So
That's good, though.
we've actually never had any real like complication. There was a smaller one when we were in studio with our first album, and I wanted to try some vocal techniques, and the drummer was like, "No, don't do it." He didn't want me to do it because I've been listening to some of the modern deathcore at the time and the crazy vocals. But I ended up doing it, and he actually liked it. So I was like, checkmate, you lost.
That is an interesting topic too. Is like trusting your bandmates, or giving your bandmates artistic space.
Exactly. Yeah.
You sort of have to allow them to try it before saying no.
I agree, 100%.
It could have gone the other way. He could have won.
Yeah. No.
Could have not been good. Something that I love to do is make collabs, right? So I've done it for Crisptopsy. I've released 35 beers for the podcast. I've created teas. I just love it. I love making collabs. So if you guys can make a collab for your band, whether it be a beer, something that would, like, for me, beer is important. It's a part of my identity, which is why it works for me. We'll start with Steven because he actually did make a beer with Overhop, which was super cool. What would be a collab for you guys? It doesn't have to be a beer. It could be anything, something that represents you. Steven, go for it and talk to me about how that whole collab came together with Overhop.
Oh, man. That's a good question, man. I don't know. I'm trying not to get like my personal interest, let's say, to respond onto that one. I think in general, I think as a band, we'd be pretty happy just, being able to partner up with gear companies and stuff, or, like you were mentioning on tour, how it's not always easy and how it sounds bad and stuff, we're the people like testing out like the gear on the spot. Like we're sweating all over. We have like we're in the right position to say what is going on, how things are reacting. Like say the material, is it breaking? Is it, so I think in general, like just gears, drums, wires, batteries, man, collabs with wet wipes. You mentioned wet wipes.
That'd be sick, actually. Wet wipe.
But on a more serious note, beer for me, it does it too. So I was pretty stoked getting that beer deal, and it was actually our manager who was getting beer at the Overhop Brewery, and he started talking with one of the brewers, who was a huge metal fan, and he's like, "Oh yeah, we recently just started being managed by that guy." So he's all excited talking about it, right? So eventually it led us to having Ghost come out.
I remember Patty wrote me. She's like, "You know this band?" And I was like, "I don't, but you should do it." She's like, "I think I'm going to do it. They're from the area. I think I'm going to do it." I'm like, "You should do it." It's like, I don't know them, but you should do it.
They're amazing people. Like they were so nice, and we got in there and they gave us beer and had us try stuff, and they were really open with us, like on with our tastes and stuff. And like I like beer in general, so I'm not really a reference when it comes to that. So I'm happy with the Ghost, but I would have liked an IPA as well. It's like it's all good for me. So. Yeah, so we might have something else coming up, but we have to talk about it and see what happens. So, yeah.
Cool. I'm excited for that. Matt, what would be a perfect collab for Diabology or for yourself?
For myself, a good collab with any like drum-related stuff like DW, Bigford, Zildjian, the main ones.
That would be sick. Barrett, what would be something sick for Bloodprint?
Oh, well, at first, for me personally, I was thinking like a signature bass would always be really cool to have. Something like a cool Bloodprint design or something. But like besides gear, I would always like love to do something collaboration with like a video game or something, like either like write some music for one or have like cool merchandise, like Easter eggs, like for Bloodprint theme. That would be pretty cool. And just for me personally, I love like just like shredding on bass. So like doing some guest bass solos for some bands, that would be pretty cool to do for sure.
Very sick. Very sick. Espen, what would be a great Féleth collab?
Yeah, that's a rough one, actually. Because I could say we could do a collab with the soccer team, because the one guy in the band is completely destroyed or ruined. He only cares about football. It's weird. But I would say personally, if we were to do like a collab with something, it would probably be something that would raise money for Ukraine right now, to be completely honest. We could go play a show with Ukraine. It'll be spectacle. I can't remember the word, but you understand. Yes.
Spectacular.
No,
yes.
no, but I
Absolutely.
think probably something that's good for someone. We're kind of selfless, I think. But I also love beer, so beer would be great, you know. Since we're on the topic.
Megan, what would be a great casket robbery thing? You guys do some stuff, so I'm interested to see if you have something new or if you're something that you haven't done yet.
So we've done coffee. Tea would be really cool. I think Corey's gonna yell at me. I think the funniest thing. So we're from Wisconsin, land of cheese.
I knew you were gonna say
and our big thing is on tour. We always buy Cheez-Its, and like that's our like van snack. And we'll like tweet Cheez-Its, and it's become this huge thing now. Where like at our last show, someone painted their chest like as a shape of a Cheez-It, and people are giving us bucks. So I think that we should collab with Cheez-Its, casket robbery and Cheez-Its. Let's make a weird like horror themed something.
I think that would be amazing. I didn't know that. I'm impressed. I think that's exciting. I'm doing the same thing with Crocs because it's a bit embarrassing, and I don't know if I've spoken about it on the podcast yet, but I wear Crocs a lot, and I have since I bought them to go on tour. Because when you tour festivals in Europe, you tend to destroy your shoes because it's so goddamn muddy. So you'd finish a tour and your shoes are basically scrap. So I bought these Crocs, but they're like closed, not with the holes, and I wear them all the time. So like they become like my rain boots. Like if it's raining, and I walk everywhere, right? So I wear these Crocs. So I frequently hit up Crocs, VOX and Crocs and hops. You know what I mean?
Good.
It works. I don't know. Maybe one day we'll see. One day we'll see. I have 2 more questions, unless more things pop up. I don't know if you guys can answer it, but I'm wondering what the biggest differences are now versus when I was in your positions. Back in the day, the internet was just starting. You guys basically have all started bands in the era of mass technology where people are bombarded with lots of new music all the time. What would be the biggest challenges, do you think, in the modern era of trying to make it in the music industry? And that's another massive question, so I apologize. Barrett, jump in there.
All right. Well, in terms of like where we are right now, basically we played like technically our first show basically a week before COVID started. So we pretty much started right when lockdown happened, in terms of that. But I think how things have changed, I think opportunity has become a big thing for us, because with everything online right now, at least, we've been able to get our music across to like so many people, even people we idolize. Like a cool story I would have is like, we put our first ever song out only on YouTube. It was a demo. It was like, a demo. And then a bit later, somehow one of the biggest like guitar YouTubers, Stevie T, heard it because a fan of the song was like a Patreon supporter. So then she put it towards Stevie T and he heard it and he loved it. And I was like, a main thing. I was like, wow, you could never like do that 10 years ago or something, like put that towards him. So that was really cool. In terms of challenges, I'm not sure. Just like from my standpoint, I guess like doing the show, like playing shows is the biggest challenge right now in the area because of COVID. So I think I'd say that would be like the biggest roadblock right now, but we've been able to do some shows. So I don't think we have too many challenges right now for where we are.
Megan, what do you think the biggest changes are?
I think that there are so many ways to make bands accessible right now. So many different platforms for everyone to get their stuff out, to interact with people and get their stuff out there. And along with that comes, it's constant learning process, learning all of these new platforms and apps and Twitch and Discord and all of that. So I think time management has become a really huge issue, allowing people everyone wants access to it at all times, kind of, and navigating all of these different platforms with that is definitely a learning process. But I think it's really great just how much you can get out there into other countries and stuff like that. And I've gotten to listen to some really great music that I don't think I would have ever had a chance to if I didn't do some digging on the internet and stuff. So
interesting. And you're 100% right. Investing time into connecting with your fans is something that is very different than back in the day. Back in the day, bands were like mystique. You had to meet them at the show. You saw that one picture of them in that magazine that you bought or that you got your hands on at your friend's house, and you're like, oh, that's the guy that makes that music that I love. Nowadays, you can know everything about a person or whatever they want to portray to the world. I think it's exhausting. But the question is it worth it? And that's not something we can answer today, but maybe 10 years down the line, we might have an answer for that. Stephen, what are the biggest changes, do you think, and challenges?
Changes, I'd have to go with the internet for sure, man. I mean, it's the access to everything, right? So we're all plugged into it. It's a tool. So learning to deal with all the platforms, get your stuff out there and everything. That's great. I wonder back in the days, man, how they do it other than just PR and like physical people talking, or like, even like the managers or the bosses or whatever behind the band, like how they get the word around other than just talking on the phone. And now you can just, hey, go check out that band, and you check it out on the internet. You have that already, the music right there to listen to, and so that makes it great. Also, what I think though that happens with that is that there's so much now info and so many bands and so many tools to help people make music, and it sounds amazing now. Like everything is, you can do it from home, so sticking out is a great challenge. And it's fucked up because, you have to do something crazy almost now to like get the attention, of everybody. And even that, finding out how to stick out or disrupt whatever the normality of everything, like just to get that attention, and then try to keep on building on that to get to have people stay hooked, because there's still all that stuff coming from left and right. So sticking out is pretty much for me a big challenge, I guess, I think musicians face right now.
Absolutely. Either there's a lot of gimmicks that people are doing right, or there's the whole new, I guess we're entering a period where famous metal musicians' kids' bands is something that's going to come more and more because of just the time period of those bands from the 90s that were successful having children, and now the kids are actually old enough to perform. The Corey Taylor son band is coming to mind. Obviously, they put out anything, it's going to get a lot of attention. But it is true that it's hard to retain people's attention. I think that's you hit on something really hard there. Completely different than back in the day. Back in the day, you put out an album, you went on tour, and that's it. Nowadays, you have to continuously keep people's attention, keep them hooked. It's tough. Espen, wrap up this topic for us, please.
Yeah, I agree 100% with what you just said, and Steven as well. It's like this, in this day and age, it's like everyone's attention span is like 20 seconds. That's all you get. Like I know a lot of friends who are in more mainstream, mainstream music genres, and they have like the managers and labels and shit, and they all tell them to make a TikTok, do stuff, be funny or be weird or interesting. Of course, not meant in a negative way. But it's like, you gotta like stand out, and you have to do weird stuff to really get attention, I guess. Or you have to do something that's never been done before, which is, I don't think it's impossible, because that's what I really like about, at least in the metal scene, the past like 10 years. A lot of people hate on all the deathcore and stuff, but I think it's like, music is evolving, whether you like it or not. You just gotta accept it. But also I think of course, I also agree with what everyone else said, that it's a good thing that it's much more like accessible, and like you can like write with fans and stuff online. But then again, you have to spend a lot of time on social medias, and that's not for everyone.
No, and then at that time that you're spending doing that, you're not spending doing something else.
Exactly.
So it's all about balance and time management, as Megan was saying. Classic Vox and Hops wrap-up question. It does not apply for some of you, and that's okay. I'll ask another question for that person. I'll start the classic Vox and Hops wrap-up question. This was great. Really appreciated it. It probably doesn't happen to you guys very often because you're very busy doing all this work to stay connected with your fans, to write new music, to get ready to tour. But every once in a while, it happens to all of us, except for Barrett because he's 15. What are your hangover cures? And we'll start with Steven.
Fucking crack another one open.
It works, but it's dangerous. Yeah.
Start the day with another one, man.
Espen, how do you attack hangovers?
I have found the perfect cure. So I suffer a lot from general anxiety. So what I usually do, I just sleep for 24 hours after I come home from partying. And when I wake up, not the next day, but the one after, I'm feel better, but I'm very hungry usually. And dehydrated.
Megan, what is your hangover cure?
I tried the whole coconut water thing, and it tasted awful. So Bloody Marys.
Yep.
That's it.
Yep.
I have a question for you guys, actually. I'm sorry, I don't want to cut anyone off.
Go for it. No stress.
Have you, who tried the pickle juice thing here? Is that just really like a myth thing? Does it work?
Oh, I've done that.
It works. It's the salts, right? And I spoke to a nutritional scientist about hangovers and the effects of alcohol, and he said that it takes 3 days for the human body to really get over a hangover. And the reason that we crave salty food, pickle juice has a lot of salt, is that your body is so dehydrated, and the fact that you drinking something salty makes you want to drink more water. It was his answer upon that topic. But pickle juice doesn't work. I don't think anything actually works. You just got to drink water.
I don't remember if it was like Pantera or Hell Yeah on a Bus Invaders episode that I watched. They mentioned drinking vodka with Gatorade, so the next morning you're not that fucked up.
I have a funny story about vodka and Gatorade that I will not talk about while we're recording, but when I'm finished, I'll wrap up with that. Barrett, hangovers are not your thing, and they don't ever have to be, and you probably should never do it because it's not fun. What has been the silver lining of the pandemic for you guys?
For me personally, I got so much better on bass guitar than I would have if I was just continuing my course when I was 13. But now at 15, like I had so many days in 2 years to just practice. And then I think that's what got me where I am to like being able to play what I can. So I think that's a big thing. And also growing the fan base of the band has been really fun because I've just been on social media 24/7, just connecting with fans, like messaging, commenting or whatever, like making friends as you do it. And I think that's a really good method of growing in this genre. And yeah, I think meeting friends is a good thing about it.
I want to take time. Thank you all. This has been really, really fun. I'm very happy to have connected with you all, to have dug into your mindsets of being in a band that's trying to make it. I thought this was super interesting. I hope you guys had fun as well. I want to say a massive cheers to each of you. Espen, Steven, Megan, Matt, and Barrett, thank you so much. This is amazing. I hope you had fun. I hope everyone enjoyed listening to this. This was lots of fun. Check out the bands. I'll put the link in the description. Massive cheers to you all. Thank you.
Thanks,
cheers.
guys.
Thank you very much.
Cheers.
Thank you.
Hey, thank you all so much for listening right today. You know that I love and appreciate that. Man, this was an awesome hang. I am so stoked that I finally put this episode together. It's something that I've been wanting to do for a long time, and I really, really had a great time conducting this conversation. Check out all the bands, please. Becoming the Bully, Bloodprint, Casket Robbery, Diabology, and Féleth. Killer bands. I have put the links to them in the description of this podcast. Go and check them out. Show them some love. I remember when I was back in their shoes, I would be stoked if someone gave me the chance. Check them out. this is something that I would love for you to do as a favor to me. Massive cheers to Steven, Barrett, Megan, Matt, and Espen for hanging out with me. Such a blast. Cannot wait to do it again. Can't wait to see where the bands are at when we do have a conversation again. Now, if you enjoyed this episode, you should sign up to the VOX&HOPS Metal Podcast mailing list. You can get it on my website, VOX&HOPS.com. That's VOXANDHOPS.com. And when you do that, you shall receive 2 emails a month that will contain all of the details of everything that's been happening in the world of the VOX&HOPS Metal Podcast. You'll get to see which episodes I dropped recently, which episodes I have coming up. You'll get to see which albums the VOX&HOPS album review crew have reviewed recently. You'll get to see which albums Jerry Monk, the metal architect himself, has added to the Brutal Awakenings playlist. And you will get the people that will hear about any of the projects that I have in the works first before I announce them to the public. There's just so much going on in the world of the VOX&HOPS Metal Podcast. I'd hate for you to miss a single thing, so sign up to the mailing list. The VOX&HOPS Metal Podcast is brought to you by Sound Talent Media and Evergreen Podcasts. I hope you have a killer weekend. I will be back next week with more episodes, but until then, remember to enjoy life, metal, and craft beer. Cheers, VOX&HOPS heads.